The world held its breath on a summer morning in July 1981. The streets of London shimmered beneath a golden sky, and millions tuned in across the globe to witness what was being called the wedding of the century. A shy nursery teacher was about to become a princess, and history was about to be written in silk and lace. As the grand doors of St. Paul's Cathedral opened, a hush fell over the crowd. The sound of horses' hooves echoed down the street as the royal carriage approached. Inside sat Lady Diana Spencer, her heart pounding, her hands trembling under layers of taffeta. Every eye was fixed on the young bride about to step into destiny. The gown, a masterpiece of British craftsmanship, was the best-kept secret in the world. Designed by David and Elizabeth Emanuel, it embodied fairy tale romance and regal grandeur. Its ivory silk taffeta shimmered under the light, and its 25-foot train flowed like a river of dreams behind her. The designers had just a few months to create perfection. They worked day and night in a small studio, guarded by security, with curtains drawn to keep the curious eyes of the press away. Every stitch was a whisper of devotion, every pearl a symbol of purity. As Diana stepped out of the carriage, her veil fluttered like a wisp of magic. The crowd gasped, cameras flashed. The world had never seen anything so radiant. Her face, partly hidden under layers of tulle, reflected both fear and grace, the fragile beauty of a woman stepping into a role larger than life. The gown featured antique lace once belonging to Queen Mary, linking the young bride to generations of royalty. Over 10,000 pearls adorned its bodice, glimmering softly like dew in morning light. But what caught the world's imagination was that endless train, unfolding down the cathedral steps like the trail of a comet. Inside the cathedral, 3,500 guests awaited her arrival. Kings, queens, and world leaders turned to see the bride walk down the aisle. As the organ played, Diana began her slow walk toward Prince Charles. Every step echoed with emotion, every glance captured by cameras transmitting the moment to over 750 million viewers. The designers later revealed the dress was deliberately larger than life, symbolizing hope, innocence, and a new era for the British monarchy. It wasn't just a wedding gown. It was a cultural phenomenon that defined fashion for decades to come. But behind the fairy tale shimmer, there were nerves and imperfections too. The carriage ride had crumpled the fabric, and the designers watched in panic as wrinkles appeared on live television. Yet none of it mattered. The people didn't see the creases. They saw a vision of love and grace that transcended flaws. Diana's bouquet was as symbolic as her dress. Made of gardenias, orchids, lilies of the valley, and myrtle sprigs, it paid homage to royal tradition. Every flower had a meaning: purity, loyalty, and eternal love. The fragrance lingered in the air long after she passed. As she reached the altar, she stumbled slightly on her gown, drawing a collective gasp. But she smiled, regained her balance, and continued. That smile would soon become her greatest strength. The smile that hid heartbreak, defied protocol, and won the hearts of millions. When Diana said her vows, she made one small but powerful change. She chose to omit the word obey. It was a quiet rebellion, a hint of independence beneath all the pageantry. That moment marked the beginning of a new kind of royal woman, graceful yet self-willed. Prince Charles, dressed in his naval uniform, looked every bit the heir to the throne. But it was Diana who stole the show. Her innocence, her vulnerability, her quiet confidence, they made her more than a bride. They made her a symbol. When they kissed on the balcony of Buckingham Palace, the crowd erupted in cheers. It was a kiss replayed across the world, frozen in time as the embodiment of royal romance. For one shining moment, everything seemed perfect. In the following days, newspapers couldn't stop writing about the dress. Magazines devoted entire issues to it. Designers from New York to Tokyo copied its puffed sleeves and billowing skirt. Diana had not just married a prince, she had redefined bridal fashion forever. Even the veil became iconic. It measured 153 yards of tulle, sprinkled with tiny pearls. It shimmered like moonlight as it framed her youthful face. That image, Diana beneath the veil, smiling nervously, would become one of the most recognized photographs in history. Behind the scenes, Diana had been deeply involved in the design process. She wanted her dress to feel both royal and personal. She even asked the Emanuels to include a tiny blue ribbon sewn inside the bodice for good luck. Hidden from view, it was her private wish for happiness. When the ceremony ended, the bells of London rang out across the city. The couple rode through cheering crowds in a horse-drawn carriage, waving to the people who had fallen hopelessly in love with their new princess. For that brief moment, Britain felt united in joy. But as the confetti settled, whispers began. Could a young, shy woman truly survive the pressure of royal life? No one knew then that the fairy tale would come at such a heavy price. The world saw only perfection that day, but behind the sparkle, Diana's fairy tale was already cracking. The wedding dress, though stunning, symbolized the weight of expectation she was now bound to carry. Each pearl seemed to represent a secret, each fold a hidden truth about the life awaiting her. The months leading up to the wedding had been overwhelming. She was just 19, thrust into royal scrutiny, learning protocols and public duties overnight. While designers worked on her gown, she was being trained to walk, wave, and smile like a queen in waiting. Her fitting sessions were filled with nervous laughter and quiet tears. The designers recalled how she sometimes arrived pale and exhausted, burdened by the enormity of what lay ahead. Yet she remained polite, sweet, and humble, qualities that made her beloved by the public. The Emanuels said they wanted her dress to be something that would go down in history. They succeeded beyond measure. Even 40 years later, people still speak of it with reverence. But Diana herself would one day call it both a dream and a prison, beautiful but confining. On her wedding morning, she reportedly spilled perfume on the dress, leaving a tiny mark she tried to hide with her hand. That small imperfection felt poetic, a reminder that even the most perfect moments carry human flaws beneath the surface. When she stepped out onto the cathedral steps, she appeared every inch a princess. Yet inside she was trembling. She later said she felt like a lamb to the slaughter. The words shocked the world years later, revealing how little the fairy tale reflected her truth. Still, for millions of viewers, that image of her walking down the aisle remains magical. It was a collective dream of beauty, love, and hope. The kind of story humanity longs for even when it's only half real. After the ceremony, her dress was carefully packed away, preserved like a relic of modern mythology. For decades it remained under watch, occasionally displayed in exhibitions, where people would gaze upon it in reverence as though it were sacred. The gown's legacy lived on through generations of brides. Puffed sleeves, bows, and long trains dominated fashion in the 1980s, all inspired by that single moment in St. Paul's Cathedral. Designers admitted they tried to recreate the magic, but never could. Diana's aura couldn't be replicated. As the years went by, the story of that wedding changed meaning. What once represented royal perfection became a symbol of vulnerability and illusion. The dress, like Diana herself, came to embody beauty shadowed by pain. Yet Diana never lost her grace. She transformed heartbreak into purpose, using her fame to bring attention to those forgotten by society. The same compassion that once glowed behind her veil now reached hospitals, charities, and children's wards across the world. When she passed away in 1997, the dress was brought out once more, this time not for celebration, but for remembrance. People looked at it and wept, recalling the day she had captured their hearts and the innocence that once radiated from her smile. In 2014, her sons, Prince William and Prince Harry, inherited the gown. They decided to share it with the world again, displaying it at Kensington Palace so future generations could feel its magic. For them, it wasn't just fabric, it was their mother's legacy. Visitors who saw it described feeling emotional, almost as if Diana's presence lingered in every stitch. The folds of silk seemed to whisper her story, of love, pressure, courage, and tragedy intertwined. The royal marriage of the century had become a timeless tale, teaching that behind every crown lies a heart, and behind every fairy tale, a truth. Diana's wedding dress will forever remind the world that beauty can inspire, even when dreams break. Today, countless documentaries, books, and films revisit that day. Historians analyze every detail, the fabric, the design, even the symbolism of the veil. But no analysis can capture the emotion that viewers felt when they first saw her walk down that aisle. That moment, frozen in time, remains one of the most watched events in history. It was more than a royal wedding. It was humanity witnessing the rise of a modern icon whose grace would outshine even tragedy. Princess Diana's wedding dress wasn't just an outfit. It was the visual heartbeat of an era. It told a story of love, innocence, pressure, and resilience. Decades may pass, but that image of her, radiant, hopeful, fragile, will never fade. Even today, when people speak of royal weddings, they begin and end with hers. For the world, that day wasn't just the royal marriage of the century. It was the day an ordinary young woman taught the world what it truly means to be unforgettable.